Welcome, everyone. My name is Kylie Mintz, and I'm on the marketing team here at InflowCX. And today we're going to be talking about Genesys SMS Outbound Campaign Preparedness. Best practices and key things you should know. A few housekeeping items. On October 6th, we are having a Mastering Toll-Free Number Management in Your Contact Center. And then on October 12th, we're having another webinar, a fireside chat, how the public sector is modernizing its CX strategy. So if any of those are of interest for you, go ahead and head over to our website and make sure to get signed up today. Before we jump into everything, we'll give a brief overview of Inflow in case this is your first time joining us for a webinar, and then I'll hand it over to our awesome engineer, Drek, to dive into all of the SMS outbound campaign details. We'll have some time for Q&A at the end, but if you have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to throw them in the chat or in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen, and we'd be happy to answer them as we go along. So with that, InflowCX we're here to help you evolve your contact center technology and operations to deliver unparalleled experiences for your customers. So we help organizations evaluate, deploy, and optimize their customer engagement technology and strategy through a variety of ways. First, we provide a vendor-neutral approach to CX technology evaluation, BPO and labor strategies, and operational effectiveness. We help customers make data-driven decisions utilizing ROI and TCO and business case modeling. And our expertise spans the core CCaaS as well as other areas like AI, CX, UC, WFO, BPO, automation, analytics. You name it, we can help you with it. And with that, here's just a sample of some of the customers that we work with. We work with some of the best organizations to innovate their customer experience. As you can see, we span all sorts of industries and verticals. So no matter where you are in your journey, we can help you. And this is just a sampling of some of the technology partners that we work with. As you can see, it's quite a lot, and this is not all of them. And so with that, I'll hand it over to you, Drek.
Okay, I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. So we're basically going to go over for Genesys SMS campaigns for just an overview. It's kind of nice. So what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be also showing my screen with what Genesys shows. Let me grab that real quick. And screen 3, here we go. So a little bit about SMS campaigns dealing with Genesys. Right now, Genesys Cloud offers it as a way to deliver a lot of great messaging. You can do voice campaigns, but SMS is a new thing. A lot of people like it because it's simplistic, it's easy to do, and people don't feel annoyed as much as a voice call. So a lot of people are starting to use this. With the campaigns, you can use long codes, toll-free codes, short codes. They all have their own specific registration codes. Long codes, if you don't know what that is, a long code is a standard 10-digit number that you can use. It's a standard, if you're going to text somebody, it's a standard 10-digit number. Short code is a 5 or 6-digit number that you register, you have to get. It takes a lot longer to get. People would consider that maybe a vanity number, possibly. It's a shorter number. You can get that. It does take a little bit longer time to get that versus a long code. So if you are interested in do that, again, you would have to plan it in advance. And of course, you can do a toll-free numbers. Toll-free numbers can also be SMS enabled, and we can put it in the system. And so we do have all the stuff will be talking about. We do have links available, and I'll be happy to give them in the chat, or Kylie can put them in chat, and we'll have that available for you. Okay? So besides having our long codes, our phone numbers ready to text and everything, SMS campaigns run off a predefined contact list. And if you're looking at my screen right now, I have a campaign up here. And what we do, we have a list management with each campaign. Now there is a thing. By default, it's built up. You manually load up the list. And the list is basically a CSV file. You load it up and you put it in there, and based on certain columns, it'll call out to that particular number and everything. So you can, contact lists can actually add custom information for each things like customer zip code, or certain other items that you want in there. So like business hours is a great one. So at certain times that you want to do that. So the key though in these particular for campaigns in Genesys is you can only use one campaign per one contact list per campaign. Well, people always ask, can I use the same list for multiple campaigns? The answer is yes. However, you can only run one at a time. So if I ran this one and it's using the same list, I'd have to finish this one before I could use this one. We prefer not to do that, prefer to have separate contact lists, only because you can run multiples at the same time if you need to. Okay. Campaigns use SMS templates for canned responses. What does that mean, canned responses? What we do is in the system, we can create, it's a library. And it's things that are already typed up, ready to go, and the system will put it out there for you. And what that means is you can come in and pre-set up items. And that what you do, it's the system will type it out for you. And people are like, well, I want to have it a little bit more personalized. Can we do that? Yes, you can. Variables are in there. We can pull in variables like the customer's name or other items that are on that contact list. We can pull those items in and actually type that out for them. And let me grab a canned responses under contact center. So if you look, we create a library and we have them for different ones. And so I'm going to do one SMS campaign. I'm going to open up the demo message. Now, if you look, this is what the system would send to the customer. It would say hello and actually put their name in. So we're personalizing it. I heard you like, and whatever that value is on that column, and you live near zip code of that. And again, those items are coming from the contact list. So again, you can customize it so when it sends out, these people feel it's not very generic. It's like, oh, they know my name, they do this. Look, it's more personable. So we can do that and create these canned responses. Okay. So besides the canned responses, the campaigns you can run them manually or schedule them. And people are like, well, you want to have both, because if you look, let me go back to our list. And when we talk about a campaign, it could be run manually or scheduled. Is this when we create our campaign, a campaign is just sitting there. And if we want it to turn on, I can manually turn it on right here, and it's going to go. Whether if you have one, like this campaign only has one, this one has 12 items it's going to send out. So, and this is also a voice campaign. Let me go to digital. So on the digital campaign, if I run this, it'll run that. Let's see if I go, it'll retrieve, it's going to send out one text right here. And I manually did it. You can also turn it off manually, and we can also schedule it. And we can do some schedulings and do some stuff to make it work automatically. Now, some people always ask the question, can we make it where I don't have to upload my list every time, manually upload the list? And the answer is yes, you can have it built in if you have some additional APIs that can update this list. Sure can. That's a possibility. So you don't have to touch it. You could upload from an API list. Not a problem. So again, once you do it, you could set it and probably forget it, and it'll just update based on your backend system updating these records. Okay. Campaigns also have rules. Have some rules that we can do. There's a lot of really cool things. So you can have rule management, and I'll go some of these other ones. Under rule management, we can add all these different rules, and these rules can be all sorts of things. You could tell it how you want to do, what the contact list, what wrap up codes, different things that you want it to do for you. Okay, the rule management is very configurable, and it just depends on which campaign and what you want to do with it. Again, you can we can create some additional rules in there. And if you notice, we could do rules that are pre-call, we could do after call, and we have all these different conditions that we can actually do. We can look at certain columns and everything, and what we want to do, look at the conditions, and then what actions we want to do. We can make it callable or different items. So it's not just do it and send it out. There's a lot of rules we can do. Besides the rule management in here, we can also do contactable time sets. And again, we could say, well, why do you want to do that? Well, we don't want to text people, after certain time periods, except if you're doing across the United States. You might want to be able to do in certain time zones to do these campaigns. So it's not sending people at 11 o'clock at night, they're receiving a text or something like that. We just want to, you can set these contactable time sets anytime you want. And again, it's very easy. You just set them up. You can set up a time zone. And then we just add the times that you want to do this. It's that easy. You just drag which ones you want when you want it to do. Again, it's very easy to set. These contactable time sets, you can do it, set it up, and it can go across multiple of the SMS campaigns. Okay. Let's go ahead here. Now, besides the rules on that, we can do pre and post contacts and make sure that you can, based on results. And then we have the outbound, which outbound number we want to use to send to these people. What's our reply text number. Okay. If accepting replies from SMS, and yes, you can accept replies. What we're doing, we're just sending it out. And then if they reply back, we can actually bring that text into Genesys, into a queue. And so what we could do, we can bring that message to a campaign into an inbound message flow. And now once it comes in our flow, we can do all sorts of things. We can add additional information to it. Thank you for contacting us. Here's some more information. Or if you'd like to talk to an agent, press 1 now and would go to a queue for that particular text. And those texts can now be answered by an agent, and they can text back and forth, and you also will keep a history of that text during your interaction. So it's really cool. The nice thing about the text, if you're doing a text and they come into the queue, it will keep the text history for that particular item for 72 hours. So basically, if I'm texting someone and they're texting back and forth, and all of a sudden they stop texting me, even if I close that out on my side, the person can respond back within 72 hours. It's still part of that history of that thing, and maybe another agent might get it, but you can see all the history. So it's a nice added benefit about that when we're doing texting. Okay, so let's see. Besides accepting the SMS as a campaign number, message flows can also be set up with a variety of features like digital bots. Yes, you can add digital bots with the estimate thing, and it can respond to messages, auto respond stuff for you. And then, of course, the bot can also transfer to a live agent. So there's a lot of different scenarios that we could add to the campaign once the person you contacted, depending on what they want to do. If they want to come in, we can bring it to a live agent, or if you want to do a bot, however you want to do that. Okay. Now, we do have, the nice thing about it is in the system with campaigns, you do have a DNC list, or a do not call list. You can actually set those up, and where you can add people to the DNC list. And the DNC list is basically, if you try to call it, it's first thing it's going to do is look at this list. Does that number exist in our list? Yes, it does. I'm sorry, we cannot call them or text them. We're not doing that. Okay. Can you remove people from that? Yes, you can remove people from the DNC list, and it's a very easy process. But again, you can just go on the list and you can look at the list that you have, and you can it's a CSV file. You can upload stuff. You can export it out, which is very nice, so you can see who's on it. So you could technically export it out, remove people, import it back in, and you're good to go. Okay. Now, with campaigns, there are some limitations. And people say, well, what limitations are there? Well, it's mainly based on the type of the ones that we're sending out. Remember before I told you the different types of campaigns that they can use long codes, toll-frees, and short codes? Well, those do have some limitations. The limitations are, it's basically how many you can send out at a time. Short codes, you can only send out 1,200 messages per minute. That's a lot of messages in a minute, but 1,200 messages per minute. Toll free can only do 180 messages per minute, and the international long code can do 700 messages per minute, as well as U.S. long codes can also do, well, U.S. long codes can only do 70 messages per minute. Okay, and then if you're doing multiple campaigns at one time, all campaign total can be 1,200 messages per minute. So you have to plan accordingly. If you have multiple campaigns running, then depending on how many you're setting up on your campaign to call at a time, you might reach your limit. So you have to plan ahead and do that. And again, on the campaigns themselves, you can actually come here, and on the campaigns, you can set a lot of different things: list, the DNCs, the contactable time sets, the rules, the templates and stuff, and which phone number we're doing. And so it's going to just be sending these out very quickly. So just keep that in mind with the campaign limitations. Okay. Now, there is a process that you kind of need to follow, with any platform, but with Genesys, we like to kind of do you do it in a certain way. Of course, planning is key. With SMS, plan way in advance, because they have some new rules now that come into play, and they're a showstopper for some things. Okay, but again, plan way in advance of when you determine you want to go live with SMS campaigns. Okay, so first thing, of course, in Genesys, you want to, if you don't have an SMS number, you can buy numbers from Genesys that are SMS capable, which is perfectly fine. And then what that would be actually, let me see if we have it on my system. You would come into SMS number inventory, and you could actually purchase the numbers from Genesys. And it's a very simple process to purchase the numbers. It's, as long as you have access, you have the rights to it. And we just go to purchase, and you click purchase, and then you just put in where you're located, what area code you would like, and if you wanted local, mobile, or toll free, and then what region you're looking at, preferably state in the US, like that, and of course cities, and then anything you want that. When you're purchasing these numbers, these are long code numbers, the standard 10-digit phone number. They're a lot quicker and easier to get than short codes. If you didn't notice, real quick, at the very bottom, if you want a short code, there's a little link right here. You can click need a short code, and we can go there, and it will actually tell you how to set up a short code. Again, a short code is more like a vanity. It's a 5 or 6 digit number. It will take it's a lot longer process to receive a short code than it is a long code. Okay? So again, you can purchase your SS numbers. Is there a limit? Nope, you can purchase them. There is a cost. Please be mindful. There is a cost to purchase numbers. It's like a per month charge. It's not very much. And then of course the usage charges. And if you have questions to that, I highly recommend reaching out to your partner or to your salesperson to double check that cost, because it's cost not only per SMS message, which is straight text messaging, only alphanumeric, but also you can get what's MM multimedia texting, in which those costs a little bit more. So if a picture was involved, or an upload of a PDF or a GIF or something like that, even possibly a link. Those would be multimedia, and those have a little bit of higher cost. Again, if you have any questions, highly recommend reaching out to your partner or reaching out to your salesperson, asking them what are the costs for SMS for owning an SMS number from Genesys, as well as what are the costs sending and receiving. Just be mindful, it's the sending and receiving costs. There's two-way costs. Okay, get that out. If you have an existing number, say you have an existing number from another carrier or whatever, and you want to port it in, yes, you can port numbers into Genesys for SMS purposes. However, you need to make sure that you put in the request for the SMS, those numbers to come in. Again, it's at the discretion of Genesys porting team to port that number in. And once that number is ported in, it will show up here in the number inventory for SMS, which is totally different than the number inventory for voice calls or voice numbers. Okay, so it has to show here for us to be able to use it here. Okay. Now, this is the part that's going to get a lot of people. All new numbers, new reported, must go through what they call the 10 DLC registration, 10 DLC or short code registration process. And in other words, if it's not registered, then you cannot use this SMS number. It will not function. You cannot do texting. You can't do anything. It will not function as a text number. So you must be doing that. And it's not Genesys that prevent it from working. It's actually the wireless carriers, US and Canadian carriers would actually block it, and they would not allow it because it's not registered. Okay. And we're going to discuss that in just a second. That's a lot more discussion on 10 DLC. Now, some SM numbers come with registration costs and usage fees, like I said before. Please check the resource center or your other people. People don't realize for business, it's a two-way cost. You have a cost of going outbound with a text. So if I send it out from my campaign, that's a cost. If the person I contacted replies back, I have an inbound cost. And so if you have multiple back and forth, you can be hit with costs for inbound and outbound for that one particular interaction. So depending on what you want to do, that could add up very quickly, especially if you send out a lot of texts for that. Okay. Now, the part that people are having, we're running into a lot of customers are having this issue right now is what they call 10 DLC 10 DLC registration, which the majority of people are doing that. Okay. So the 10 DLC registration this was enacted in 2021 by the US and Canadian wireless carriers to commercialize phone numbers for texting. And what it does is to legitimize the application to person, or A2P text messaging. It creates a formal process to allow 10-digit local phone numbers to be used to send and receive messages. And what is it for? It's basically, so if you're registered, and so they don't want people to be spammed with a lot of stuff for that. So if they know who's doing what, they can control things and see how things go. This, for Genesys and for most platforms, this is a fairly relatively new process. Okay. There was a deadline. The deadline was actually last month, August 30th or 31st. At the end of the month, you were supposed to have it registered, and it was a grace period. But starting September 1st, you must have a 10 DLC registration or short code registration of your SMS numbers. What does that mean? If I went and purchased an SMS number right now from Genesys, I could not use it until the 10 DLC registration has gone through. Okay. And actually there's some great documentation for the 10 DLC, how to do it with Genesys. And if you look in chat, that'll be in there shortly to that. Okay. So the registration process for 10 DLC is basically to help prevent mass SMS spam messaging, and that's the main thing, and malicious text and stuff. It's not for you to prevent, to watch over you. It's just to help the consumer, the end person, so they don't get so many texts and get overwhelmed. Okay, so customers, must fill out a form for each campaign for numbers. So you, as a customer, you must fill out a 10DLC form. And the question is, well, do I have to fill out one for each phone number? And the answer is no. You can fill out one form and add multiple phone numbers to that one form. And basically, when you're registering that form, that 10DLC for your SMS number, you'll have your branding of your company, your name of your company, and all sorts of information that they want on there. But you can put multiple numbers on one form, so you don't have to do, if you have 100 numbers, you don't have to do 100 forms. You do one form, add 100 numbers to it. A lot easier. Okay. There is something you must show on here, and this is what gets a lot of people, and this is why we need to plan in advance. You need a form requires you to have proof. The form requires you to have a proof of customers opting in. In other words, as one of your customers, they have to have a process to opt in, to say, yes, I accept SMS text messages from you. Okay. So we can send them back and forth, and you can do it a variety of ways. Some people have it when they call in, the agent asks them, hey, you would like to accept messages, and they say yes, and you can turn it on your back end CRM system, I guess, a little checkbox, or you could be something on a website that updates, something to let the customer say, yes, I want to get text from you. And you have to have an opt-in, and it's going to be on the form. It's going to ask you, how do you do that? And you have to show like a screenshot and show them how you do that. So again, you need to plan ahead. And this is, again, they have to opt in before they start receiving messages from you, text messages from you. You will also need to provide a sample of these types of messages that you'll be sending your clients. So they kind of, now, did you have to show them exactly? No, you can show just a sample, like the one I sent you, I was showing you, I sent it out, hey, thank you for contacting us, blah, blah, blah. Here you go, and give them the information. That's it. You don't have to go too in detail. You don't have to show them every single campaign. You just need to show them a sample of one that looks what you'll be doing. Okay. So once you finish the 10 DLC forms, you're going to send them to the SMS porting teams for Genesys. And the thing is, on their website, it says registration can take 3 to 4 weeks depending on current carrier backlog. And let me just tell you right now, there is a backlog because people waited to the last minute for doing the registration. So there's a lot of backlog right now. So again, plan accordingly. It says 3 to 4 weeks. I would plan a little bit further, only because it's going to take a lot longer to get this thing, because everybody else there's a backlog. And if there's any issues with registration with Genesys, they'll come back and work with you and help you do that. Of course, any changes you need to do in it will delay the 10 DLC process to get your SMS numbers so you can use them for your campaigns or any texting. Okay. And of course, once you register and it's good to go, guess what? You can start using it immediately for your SMS campaigns. But the 10 DLC right now is the item that's causing the most, when you're planning, it's causing the most things because people don't take it into consideration. Okay. And of course, the last thing anytime we're doing a SMS campaign and everything, especially for compliance and stuff, make sure you have an opt-in consent for each message recipient. It's important for the marketing and non-essential communications. Only send messages during the recipient's daytime hours. You don't want to send it after hours or anything else. And you got to make sure your SMS campaigns actually support the help, stop, unsubscribe messages, so they can unsubscribe or not receive messages anytime else like that if they want to do that. And of course, do not contact users on do not call or do not disturb list that you have, or any registries that you have internally, but also outside of your system. Okay, so that's just it's a very synopsis of everything dealing with the SMS campaigns, and there's a lot to go in there. And this, again, this is just the SMS campaigns part. There's parts on voice, they all work together. And again, we'll have a lot of links available for you. And if you have any questions about SMS campaigns or voice campaigns or Genesys in general, please don't hesitate to contact us at Inflow. We're here to help. We want to make you have a positive experience with your Genesys, and we want you to learn about your system so you can get the most out of it. Okay. Other than that, Kelly, I'm finished with that. We can go into Q&A.
Awesome. Thanks, Drek. We're going to switch over on my screen. All right. Just like Drek mentioned, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I know we're over on time. We'll take a few minutes.
And please note that in the chat section, all these links are all in the Genesys knowledge base. Feel free to click on it. You don't have to log in, just click on it. It'll go to it, bookmark it, so you'll have the information for yourself, especially the 10 DLC at the very bottom. And then all the other ones are great. A lot of these links are actually they link to each other. So you might, if you go one, you can get to the other ones from other links. But please bookmark those so you have those for future information. And again, you can go from there for any other information you need for SMS campaigns.
Absolutely. And I don't see any questions in the chat. So with
Okay.
that, like Drek mentioned, get in touch if you have any questions. We are here to help. We have experts like Drek standing by, ready to help you guys with whatever you need to ensure your system is running efficiently and optimally to best serve your customers. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us today. It was really great having you, and hope you have a great rest of your day.